you noticed that every single news cycle now feels like the end of civilization? Um, Wars breaking out, World War III, market dips, economic collapse, technology advances, death of humanity. And look, sometimes big things are really happening, like right now. But here's what's interesting. Researchers have actually studied this pattern. What they found is the world isn't that the world's getting more dangerous, is that we've now built a media environment that is structurally incapable of telling you anything is at the end of the world. That's not an accident, it's a business model. Not our model, which is why we don't have 2 million subscribers. Here's the mechanism. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Platforms, every platform, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, no, I won't call it by what he wants me to call it by, optimize for emotional engagement, not accuracy, not context, engagement. The single fastest way to trigger emotional engagement is existential threat. This is important, get scrolled past. This changes everything, gets shared. So every event pushes through the filter. The most extreme interpretation spreads first. The more accurate, boring, nuanced version shows up 3 days later in a newsletter that nobody reads. And the people producing content, including, honestly, us, feel that pressure constantly. Like I said, if it was our model, we'd have 2 million subscribers by now. Because the algorithm doesn't reward you for saying this situation is complicated and will probably resolve itself. It rewards you for saying this is the moment everything blows up. Here's the real cost, and this is what the research actually shows. When everything is framed as a final turning point, people lose the ability to identify real turning points. Think about 2008. The financial crisis was a genuine structural collapse, but by that point, the public had been through so many of these this changes everything cycles that a lot of people initially dismissed it as mere media hysteria. The apocalypse framing had burned through its credibility. Real geopolitical and economic change is always slow. It moves through incentives and power shifts over years, not weeks. Go watch our video on what's going on in Iran for more about that. But if you train your audience to expect every week to be historic, they can't see history happening underneath the noise. Jay, here's what I genuinely don't know. Do you think people actually believe the apocalypse narrative anymore? Or if we hit a point where everyone knows it's theater, they're just performing the reaction because they're still reacting to it because that's what the moment seems to call for. Because these are two very different problems with different solutions.
Well, uh, I think it's a little bit of both. I think you have people, I don't want to just say like you have like the smart people that like realize like this is just for ratings. And then you just have like the non-smart people. I don't want to make it that simple, but basically, yeah, like you have the smart side that like understands like, okay, this is a business model, you know, sensation sells. And then you have your other group, um, who does believe. I have seen these people in the wild of like, you know, you have doomsday preppers who like want to build a bunker, or you know, they start training with, you know, AR-15s in case like zombie apocalypse hits, and then like they have to have a border of defense system, something. I don't like, you have people that like truly honestly believes all of this stuff, and they like spend their money and time like trying to prepare against it.
But as far as the general public, do you think they've just become completely inured to it? So now the only way to even get through to them is to make everything seem like it's the worst thing in the world and the most, you know, we have had. So I'll give you this example. The last 3 presidential elections have been the most important and most historic elections in history, right? And I'm sure when we get into 2028, it's going to be the same way. This is the most important election in history. At what point, you know, like, you know, when you hear that thing at work where it's like, look, if everything's a crisis, nothing's a crisis, right?
Yeah.
How do we either get people to stop engaging on this, like, doom scroll apocalypse type content, right? Or and start feeling out more of the nuance, or what do we do? How do we get them to this point?
Huh.
You know, how do we get out of the algorithmic cycle to make it where the incentive isn't for content creators and media organizations to do all this?
Yeah, I think there's a very simple actual solution here. You fucking just EMP us.
We just get rid of the internet?
Fucking roll it back to the 1920s.
Well, I mean, we already talked about rolling it back to the 1990s. Bring back force and critical thought. But again, that's what chat's saying. How do you do that? Like, I know I'm one of those people where I've been not just listening to the news, but I've been consistently listening to different outlets since the Iran war thing broke out, trying to get a more nuanced understanding of exactly what's happening. And I was talking to a service member buddy of mine last night, actually. And I said, one of the issues that I'm having right now is none of the reporting that I'm getting from any of the legacy media, or any media really, is giving me a clear view of what in God's name is happening over there right now. I can't tell, right? I don't trust our government's narrative. I don't trust the Iranians' government's narrative. I don't trust the Israeli narrative. And nobody seems to be reporting anything besides bombs. There are bombs. Like, we're not getting a clear view of this is what's happening. This is the sequence in which it's happening. And here's what it's affecting, except in brief snippets, right? And then again, this is the other one, because I've run into this too. AI is making this worse, because I've had to like stop myself on videos and go, nope, that's AI. That's AI. Because people have been posting fake AI content of this conflict already for clicks.
Yeah. Uh, I don't understand. Like, I just don't understand, because like, yes, it would be very easy for Alex and I just to go down very certain paths to get more subscribers and more followers and more views.
Oh yeah, I could be a complete tool on the internet.
Yeah. But like, I don't know, we're like decent people, I guess, and we're just like, yeah, we just don't want to do that. Like,
we try to have nuance to our show.
Yeah.
At least
like,
some.
I don't understand.
But yeah, how do you force people back into that critical thought process? Where they're not going to engage with the craziness and just be like, no, we're not participating. Sorry.
And I think, like, I think this is going to lead to a much larger issue. I think this is going to be like our lead paint, right? Where like back in the day, they're like, lead paint's fine. Paint your house with it, paint your cars with it, put it on your burgers, eat it, right? Now we know today, lead paint bad. I think this has like the possibility, stuff like this, if you're always in a very heightened sense, like, oh my God, the world's going to end every single year, every single election, whatever, I think more and more people are going to find unhealthy ways to try to escape that feeling and escape reality, probably towards either like drugs or cornfields, or drugs and cornfields. I don't know. Crop circles. Anyways, and you're going to start seeing like a very bad shift in society. I think this is a possibility.
I like what one of the people in chat's saying, right? Bring back civics. And actually, I think this is a piece that's missing in the critical thought thing. Classes like art and music. I hate to say it, and in fact, I have a funny story. One of my friends and I used to tell about how we met. One of my close friends, we were 12. We had to take, in 7th grade, a music appreciation class, right? And like most 12-year-old boys, right, we were insufferable about having to sit in this class. We were little fucking clowns, because 12-year-old boys are little fucking clowns, okay? I will say it. They were hormonal and stupid, and we did silly things. But, art appreciation, music appreciation. Even though we were being clowns about it and making fun of it, the art and the music still got through our heads, right? We still heard it. It still implanted it somewhere deep in our subconscious, and it's still there. More language options, they say, more immersion in other cultures. But I really do think that art and music and things like that makes us analyze what we're seeing, what we're hearing. And maybe that, we talk about the liberal arts, but maybe that is what's missing, because those are the first things to get cut out is art and music, right? But do you think that has an impact on how people analyze the world that's around them? I know I listened to, punk music when I was in high school, but it affects how I analyze what I see in the news. Is that lens of the music and the culture that I was immersed in for a large portion of my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think.
Does that make sense? Does anything I say make sense?
Yes. And I think it's education in general. I think it's whenever you don't want to, you're kind of forced to, right? Like kind of what you mentioned. When you're forced to like widen your horizon, it can be anything. It can be art class, it can be music class, it can be, I know a lot of people, like something that changed their world views was a class that I took in college called Religions of the World. So you went through all the major religions and you started realizing some very fundamental flaws with stuff. And you start viewing things from different perspectives. You start putting yourself in other people's shoes, and you start realizing that the world is not as black and white as what you thought it was when you were like 7 and 8, right? Like whatever does that for you, art, religion, whatever education. I think this is why college is important. I don't want to just say go get a degree and whatever, but like taking these classes in college, I think, because yes, like we all complain about, oh, why do I have to take a religions class if I'm an engineer? This is a waste of time. But it changes your perspective. And I think you end up most of the time like having a better understanding, and you have empathy for a group of people that you did not even like understand before you took that class.
100%. I know a lot of the classes that I remember the most from college. I had one professor in particular that I took multiple of her classes, was in my electives, right, was theater. I took a bunch of stuff related to theater, like stage theater, right? Not because I was planning on being a theater major, but just because I was like, this is interesting. But again, you would sit down, you had to go and read plays. You had to go watch plays and see this art and see how it was presented. And again, yeah, I think it definitely changes how you look at the world. We need to bring that shit back. Hey, what do you know? We solved it. Solution to the world, right here on the Error Code Show. Okay? All right. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Is there any way that you can think of that we can break this apocalyptic doom cycle?